I'm Lizzie Lothmer.
I am Molly Mayer.
I'm Katie Bolin.
I'm Zachary Rogers. Do you need my name? No.
Kimberly Conley.
And Vicki Hicks.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah.
So can we start with just general impressions about India? I want to kind of hear what your initial reaction is to your trip.
Just kind of an open platform.
Yeah.
Actually, I think mine, it's really interesting because when we flew in, we got in at night, like in the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm.
And we got picked up by our driver, Lucky. And I just remember driving through Delhi, the streets of Delhi, and I was like, I was jealous. Like, we had traveled for
Right,
like
you're
24,
tired.
36
Totally.
hours. And I was exhausted, and I was just like, where am I? Because it was pitch black. They don't have very good street lighting, and then there's random fires on the side of the road, and all the buildings are like,
Cows walking by.
Yeah.
cows walking by, dogs walking by. I was like,
In the middle of the night.
Lots of
yes,
cars
in the middle of the
too,
night. And so I
still.
was like, we're in a dystopic society. Like, this is the future, and it's like Mad Max and the Fury Road or something. Because like, things were falling apart, and it's just completely different than like the streets of Kansas City at night because they're not
Yeah.
lit. You can't see anything.
But
People
there's a
are
lot going on.
running around, and it's like 2 a.m. and you're just like, what's
The
going
first
on?
night we got there, we were pretty overwhelmed.
Totally.
But then the next day was like
yeah,
best day of my
we're
life.
here.
Like,
as soon
yeah.
as
so
the sun
amazing.
Finally
rose,
clicked.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
was great.
Yeah.
I think we were just so exhausted, and it was like, whoa.
What are we getting ourselves into?
Yeah.
But it was absolutely, it only lasted a couple hours, like our little uncomfortableness. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I think everyone needs to go to India. It was
Totally.
absolutely eye-opening and life-changing, and it was amazing. So, yeah. I don't even know what to say as far as general impressions.
Right.
Just like the thing that struck me the most that I didn't really realize until I came back was just the difference between the little things that you do in everyday life, like taking bucket showers
Yeah.
and taking autos and tuk-tuks instead of like driving in your own car and stuff like that. And then we got used to that really quick. And then when we came back, like we first landed in Chicago, we were like, where are all the cars? Where are the cows?
It's
Where
figuring
are the
it out.
dogs? Like,
This is a highway.
what's going
Like,
on?
where's the
Is
dirt?
it?
Yeah, you think how
And so-
quickly your
yes,
lens,
we
like,
got
Yeah.
switches?
Yes,
That
we
just,
got so
like,
used to it
speaks
so
to the
fast.
elasticity of the human brain, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind
It
of
was
like,
so interesting.
Yeah. The one thing that I like what you said, the little things, because the thing that always strikes me when I go to Europe and then come back is like how much we always carry around stuff to drink and eat. And like eating in the car in America, like it disgusts me when I get back from Europe. 2 weeks later, I'm like shoving a Big Mac in my mouth, you know, but
Totally.
still, like it's just that switch that happens. You're like, oh, that's really, I wouldn't ever do that, and then you're back to doing it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's like speaks to the time of it too. You adjust to how they live their life and how they, the timing of things is more fluid instead of
Okay.
more structured. So like,
Oh, I like
we'll
that.
do this around this time, and if we show up or get started 30 minutes late, then that's okay. And like, or if our conversation's going 30 minutes past what I was planning on doing, that's fine too.
Okay.
So like, so not so much in the hospital, but just like businesses and things like that. It didn't seem as hustle and bustle and like hurry, hurry,
Even though
hurry.
it's busy, it's not as
Yeah.
hustle and
Yeah.
bustle.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I thought India was really good for my patience because we'd be walking down the street behind people who were just like leisurely strolling along, and we'd be like
Oh.
sprinting to get to the
Yeah.
school of nursing, and so it was good because it was just like it forced you to just like adapt to
Yeah.
like slow down.
So
like,
now look where you're
this
going.
is how look where you're going.
Watch
this
the
is
cow.
how things are here. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Watch your
So
cows.
Yeah, and then when you got to the like shopping now, it was like go go go. Like let me
Yeah.
show you everything.
these two were ruthless.
Yeah, it was so
bargaining.
much
I was
fun.
like, okay, here you go. Like I was so bad at it, but
It was great. But I like one of the things that I really enjoyed when we got there was the drastic change in culture. Like obviously India is very different from American culture, but they have such a strong sense of culture that we
Oh.
don't have. Like
Uh-huh.
they have very, like everyone has the same traditions. They have, they celebrate the same kind of holidays and whatnot. And in America, we're all kind of like mixed. Like we might have Christmas and Easter,
Yeah.
but
They're
it's
much
like
more homogenous.
totally, yeah. And they've got
That's
certain
how the-
ways.
High context culture.
yeah,
Yeah.
I remember talking about that.
It was really interesting, and they had like a lot of symbolism, and their dressing and their clothes and how they did things and eating and whatnot. It was so amazing. You don't really
Yeah.
realize how much of a culture we don't have here.
Yeah,
in
they
that
were like,
sense.
But at the
so
same
what
time,
kind of
we
traditional
do,
dances
yeah.
do you have? And we were like,
uh,
none.
dance?
Actually, I was like, twerking, does that count? Or like, that's what that's like our culture right now, is the twerk culture.
No, but like in all seriousness, one thing that I thought was really beautiful was like, regardless of religion, like if you were Hindu, if you were Christian, if you were Sikh or Jain, you all still had those things that made you Indian, and those cultural things that were still
Totally.
shared across all religions. And like, imagine that everyone gets along in
Right.
India, depending on, doesn't matter what kind of religion you are. I mean that
Interesting.
appears, that's how it appeared to us. I don't know if that's what people would say who lived there, but to us it seemed that way. We saw firsthand Christians and Hindus working together, and it was no
It
big
was
deal.
so
And I'm like,
cool.
I don't know. I just,
And-
and not to sound negative, but I just was really impressed by that.
Right. What it could be.
Yeah, what it could be.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just an interesting thought too, because not that it's not happening in America, because like Catholicism and Christianity, and I'm sure that there's Jewish and Muslim cultures and even people who are not religious at all, and they all work together.
Yeah.
It's just in India, it was their symbolism. Like you could tell
Yeah.
who was who.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. 'Cause
That's
I was
a good-
just thinking,
yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
well, here at the Med Center, we have so many different religions. We're all working, but we don't
don't-
advertise.
that's
it.
not-
yeah,
We
right,
almost
yeah.
don't
Yeah,
advertise
I don't
it.
mean
So
it
we
in that
can
way.
work
Right.
together, right?
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And you can
They're
be proud.
very obviously
Yeah.
religion, and it's very acceptable to.
It's
Oh,
acceptable.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Like our
show that.
Christian nurse mentor took us to a Hindu festival. Like,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
that was just what they did. They work with them.
And
side
she
by
knew
side.
everything about their religion too.
Yeah.
She
Oh,
explained
yeah.
so
Yeah.
much to us about.
interesting.
It's the festival's called Pongal, and it's a festival of the harvest and the sun gods for the Hindu culture. And she knew all about it because the people she serves in her community, most of them are Hindu. So she took the time to learn their religion and understand.
Plus, if it's a lot more out in the open, they probably learn
Yeah.
about it just
Exactly.
in general anyway.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
more open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like the most I know about different religions is because I took a course in college called World Religions, and so
Right.
Yeah.
if I didn't have that, I would have known absolutely nothing
Well,
about
because we don't
anything.
tend to sit around and talk about our religions, right? And share like about our festivals.
Right, yeah. And we're not as
Yeah.
like proud and open as they are, and they're okay with that. It's
And,
so
yeah, they just
Because
welcomed us.
they
in.
must not tell each other they're wrong when they start talking about religion.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I'd be
Mhm.
persecuted for it.
Yeah, they just like probably listen and appreciate it.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was very interesting. There is so much going on in the country itself too while we were there, and that was interesting to
Okay.
see because they just had one of their
Posted
leaders
Iran or
die.
something for a special
Yeah.
thing, right? What was that? Was that a hot
Republic Day.
Republic
Oh,
Day.
the 5K.
Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. The 5K in India, like
Yeah.
no one's gonna believe me now, but
That's
it was a
true.
lot of fun.
That's true.
We saw people running in saris, jeans, like no
Barefoot,
shoes. It was,
socks,
but everyone was
sandals.
having so much fun. It was so
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
It was great.
Mhm.
It was also very interesting though to see like what's going on in their culture and like what's going on in their economy or in their government. Like they just had a like one of their leaders passed away, demonetization. There was a riot. There's a protest going on
Yeah.
about Jallikattu. It's like the chasing of the bulls, kind of like they do in Spain, but it was happening in India because they like. It's part of their festival. Like whoever can ride the bull
Okay.
or like tame the bull is like the strongest man.
Mm-hmm.
And
The government had
PETA,
outlawed it, right?
yeah, and like because people were dying and cows were dying, and so they're
Oh.
like, we can't do that, and they were protesting because it was
It's part of their
infringing upon their
Yeah.
culture and their religion and what they believe in. So,
And they won.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they won, which was crazy.
so that was
But
very
it-
interesting too.
I will say, I never once felt uncomfortable or
Oh.
unsafe in
Even
any
though
sort
there
of
was-
way.
yeah.
Even though we had like the protests going on and
Oh, good.
We also
whatnot.
didn't leave campus that day though.
Yeah, we didn't.
Yeah, we were smart.
We knew to stay that we had people that would tell us, try not to go out today. There were protests going
Oh,
on. But like,
and the embassy.
good.
we had
emailed
such a
us.
good relationship with.
even the-
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. It's better to avoid it. You're not
Totally.
getting caught in the middle because you never know.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, what about like what was the most significant professional experience that you had?
I had the pleasure of working or shadowing in the psychiatric hospital, which was the coolest thing I ever experienced in India. They're so up to date on their evidence-based practices and what they do with their patients there. So I got to see the parents leading like autism classes and using their skills to teach other parents too how to deal with their autistic kids. And then from there, they explained to me how they had classes to teach the parents how to address the stigma they're going to get when they leave the hospital in the safe place. So that was absolutely incredible. And just that whole hospital, whole psychiatric
What's the name
hospital.
of the hospital?
The psychiatric hospital.
Okay.
Yeah, the CMC Psychiatric Hospital. They're doing so many great things there.
So you did a week there.
Yeah, I did a couple days there.
A couple days.
I did a couple days in the ED, but I mean, they've got everything set up right there. They actually have people come from different countries because they're so renowned. Yeah.
Okay. So they draw international
They
patients.
totally do. Yeah, and it's the only psychiatric hospital in India, and the nurses there are fantastic and absolutely the coolest thing I ever got to experience. So professionally, yeah.
I was able to experience some deliveries in the labor room at the hospital, which was wonderful. Just what struck me was kind of the sense of solidarity of all the moms in the labor room, because we're used to, when you have a baby, it's a very private event and you get your own hospital room and all your family can come in, but only if you want them to. But it's like, in India, there was like 30-something beds in this room. When you went into labor, they pulled a curtain. You could hear the woman next to you. And so, I mean, it was hot in there. Everyone, I was like, I can't really think of anything worse than being in labor and being hot, like surrounded by 30 other women. Like, oh my gosh. But that was just what they know. And so that was the most interesting part of my whole experience there, was just like what they take as normal and what we think is normal, like in their day-to-day lives, just like delivering a baby, like next to 30 other women who are also delivering a baby was just insane. I don't know if I'm making sense, but that was just so cool. Yeah.
Totally are.
So that was awesome.
And they might think it's so odd that we do it in
private.
by ourselves alone.
Yeah.
Because they may find some. I mean, I could see that there's some strength of being around other people who are enduring the same labor,
Yeah,
and you
no, I
kind
would
of
agree.
like draw some, like agony loves company, right? So,
Yeah. No, so it was cool. Yeah,
But
that
I
was
think
really
you had a
amazing.
key by saying it's normal.
Yeah, for them it's normal.
Yes, this whole thing is just normal. And 2:00 in the morning, this is normal.
Yeah.
And within how much time you figured that out, and it was your normal.
Yeah.
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 So
I
that
mean-
is cultural competency.
Yeah, it is.
Competence. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, so I kind of too, because as a professional in the public health world, like we did a lot with their public health department,
Yeah.
not department, but like their
Chad?
programs. Yeah.
Chad?
We didn't do CHAD, that's
did
more
you-
medicine, so we did CONCH,
Conch.
which is the
That's
College
right.
of Nursing Community
yeah.
Health.
That's right.
The women in that department.
And I will remember the conversation that we had. We were walking down the street of a village, and we were talking to one of the nurses, Joy. We were talking to Joy about immunizations. And in their country, they have a 99% immunization rate. Like, it is fantastic. And the government will send the immunizations that they have to the Conch facilities, and the women of Conch will, divvy them out to their villagers. And, that's how they get everybody immunized. It's covered. Nobody's paying for it. And except, the government's paying for it. But
Individually, they don't.
yeah, and it's really, it's something seen as a very good positive and a very important thing about, child's health. And then she was asking us about our immunization rates, and we were like, it's actually kind of slipping right now because of the big controversy that's going on about immunizations. And she goes, wait. She's like, I thought Americans were educated and they're smart, and it's seen as uneducated to not be immunized now. And it's just such an interesting, they're actually going ahead of us in the immunization category, and we're kind of falling behind. So that was just a really
They're very
interesting
advanced in
conversation.
psychiatric.
There's psychiatric
public
health. Yeah,
health.
public.
Yeah,
And
we
so
have a
that
lot
was-
to learn.
Yeah,
from
their public health was
healthcare, absolutely.
the most amazing for me. And then I guess in the hospital setting, I was in the emergency department, and I work in the emergency department currently here at KU. So it was a lot of comparing for me, which I had to, rein in and not do that because you can't compare apples to oranges. At the same time, a lot of the care that was being provided, a lot of the guidelines and the structures were the same, but the resources are drastically different. And so they have open wards with all these sick people, and TB is a common thing, and there's like
Yeah.
such a problem for them in infection control, and I'm just like watching these patients coughing and vomiting right next to each other, and just like, this is so terrible. And like they have a ton of trauma from motor vehicle accidents.
Oh, right.
And then just to see like how slow the process is because they don't have the resources, they don't have the operating rooms open, they don't have the imagings, they can't send someone to CT right when they get there. And that was different for me, and I had
And
to,
their transport to get them there is different.
so different. They don't have emergency medical services, they just have an ambulance that transports. So it's not, there's not a paramedic there to provide those immediate life-saving interventions. And so you'd
Right.
see people few hours down the road from when they got in their initial accident.
And
that
nothing
was,
had been done at all.
yeah, nothing was done at all. And if anything,
They
it was the
lost.
family trying to do things that like their
Family's
medicinal remedies, like they'd have string tied around certain like limbs to try and balance energies, and it was really interesting, but it was hard for me not to be judgmental of that. And I think that was a really big realization for me as a professional, because we do see such a strong refugee population in KU's emergency department. Burmese patients and Somali and Swahili, and just to keep in mind that their first step isn't always to seek emergency medical services, and we shouldn't judge those parents or those people for that, because that's not their culture, that's not their way. And so that was a really big professional experience for me.
That's awesome.
Can you share about the project that you did in the community with the anemia?
Totally.
And then also your the outcomes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I haven't heard that part yet.
Oh yeah. So we got to work side by side with the nursing program in India, and so we went out to one of the villages of Milmanil, which was fantastic. They were all so welcoming. I absolutely love them. We decided to focus on anemia in childbearing age women. This is a big issue in India as a whole. They have an issue with anemia, and so us being 3 women, we thought it was pretty timely and relevant to us. And so we went out, we did a pre-survey to kind of look at their knowledge of anemia, and we did a food chart as well to kind of see what kind of iron-rich foods they have. And then we did hemoglobin check, and then we did a post-survey. And I'll pass it to one of you guys.
Okay.
Kind of talk about that. I didn't want to take the whole thing.
No, yeah, that's fine. So for our educational day, what we did was we first got approval like from the village leaders to kind of accept us and our intervention. And we held an educational program at the local temple. And so this was all thanks to like the amazing nursing faculty, but they helped us to do like cooking demonstrations with iron-rich foods. And so we were able to offer them like tea and some different curries and these little peanut candies that are really iron-rich. And
Really good. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
we were eating the whole
they're
time. It was so
awesome.
much fun.
Yeah. And then let's see, what else did we do? They gave a presentation in their native language, and so we got to do a welcome and everything in English, and they translated for us. And so yeah. What
And
else should we say?
so anemia is prevalent?
Yeah.
Yes.
And how did you know that? Like, how did you get looped into this project?
We talked with the professors in the College of Nursing, and then we kind of did a little research too in the library, but they were our main point of information. Very well aware of the issues in India, and so they kind of helped guide us to that.
Okay.
But before you left, you had talked to who? Anita.
Oh yeah.
And so
Yeah,
you
we
kinda
had
set,
Anita as
kind
our...
of set up that might be a possibility of a concern that there might
And
be.
what causes the anemia? Is it just diet? Strictly diet?
Yeah.
So for them, it was there's multiple aspects. And we actually tested the women in the village as well. We tested their hemoglobins.
Oh, okay.
Well, at least we did 27
About half of the people that
Yeah.
we surveyed.
hemoglobin checks,
Yeah.
and a significant majority of them were actually anemic. And it was interesting to see because when they cook as a family, they're joint families. So if the grandma's doing the cooking and you got the mother eating it and the 2 daughters eating it, and then the daughter might have children that's eating it, and so it would kind of like,
It's generational.
it would kind of be in a whole family. And so it was more of an education about, even though the grandma wasn't our target audience, like
Right. But she's
having her
cooking for
at the
everybody.
education
Yeah.
because she's cooking was important.
Yeah.
So isn't
But
over 60% of the pregnant women have anemia?
Okay.
So it's very high.
Yeah.
And it's all
I don't remember
it's
the
all
exact percentage.
nutrition,
It's
diet.
mostly...
It's mostly in their nutrition because they don't eat in almost
Hardly
any red
any
meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then their leafy greens are more cooked than fresh. They don't really eat a lot of fresh vegetables. They
Right.
usually cook them in like a curry or a
Right,
sauce, and so that kind of gets out some of the
Diminishes.
nutrient
Oh.
value. And they also drink a lot of coffee and tea, like all the time. We'd be coming into a home, and they'd be like, "Oh, coffee, coffee, coffee," and it's like 80 degrees, and you're in this tiny little shack that has no wind flow, and you're sweating, and they give you this boiling cup of coffee, and you're like, "Why are we doing
Full
this?"
of cream and sugar.
You're like,
Full of sugar.
yes.
And that
Iced
decreases our
coffee,
absorption.
not
Yeah,
coffee,
yes.
cappuccino.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
drink a lot of tea and coffee, which also hinders iron absorption
does
from
it?
meals.
Oh, okay.
So
And then the
the
hookworms.
hookworms.
Mhm.
And
So
your
What is it?
report said that up to 40% of maternal deaths are caused from that anemia.
What?
yes, so 20 to 40% have some, like their maternal, their postpartum hemorrhage or just maternal deaths will some way be linked to their
They
anemia.
actually like don't really know the cause of it, but they think like if your uterus isn't getting like iron-rich blood or the blood that it needs, then it's not gonna. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not gonna.
Which is,
I
I mean,
don't know. Yeah.
they do it here in
I
the
don't know for
States.
that,
So, like,
but-
if you're hemoglobin, if you're technically anemic and you're going to a surgery, they'll actually hold you back from surgery in the hospital until your
I didn't realize
hemoglobin gets
anemia
up.
was that bad.
Right, and that was the
Right.
other thing
Yeah.
that was so surprising because
So,
I mean, I
I'm
didn't either.
anemic, you know, eat a little liver. or
Totally,
whatever.
yeah. It's not something that we would generally be worried about, and so it was really cool to learn about how we can learn about anemia in a different culture and how we can teach them too. And we learned about iron-rich foods in India, which is totally different from what we're used
Yeah,
to. Like,
right.
Their diet.
their
is
diet's
so different.
vastly different. So
Yeah.
it's really interesting to have our little taste test with the villagers. Mhm.
So cool.
Yeah.
So
It's
what were the
interesting.
outcomes then? Are you finding that conch is decreasing that, or are you making any comments
So
with that?
yeah, since we were only in the one village, it's like one nurse is responsible for a village of about 2,000 people, and so, and there's different projects that like different nursing students will do throughout, and so they've focused on anemia primarily before in the past, and so while we were there for our 4 weeks, they kind of shifted to that, and they'll do screenings for the women, so. It's just a matter of getting the women to come and get screened for the anemia, so then they can either give the diet education or, if it's severe enough, give the supplementation. Outcomes wise, we saw a good majority come to the educational piece, and then in our post survey, a lot of them had more knowledge about like how to incorporate it into their diets.
Okay.
And so that was
Increased
positive.
awareness.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Definitely.
sure.
Yeah,
for
but
sure.
we weren't there long enough to actually see
Totally.
if it helped their
Is
anemia.
this
Right.
something that could be followed by the next group of nursing students? Like,
Sure.
Is it something that
I
could?
hope so.
I definitely
because-
think
I mean,
yeah.
it's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
It seems like something that could be repeated and
Sure.
same village retested or something just to see if we could benchmark.
And come up with more educational like programs. Maybe not, this time it won't be a taste test. It'll be something else related to anemia, or, you know.
Yeah, I loved it. Every single day we were like excited to go into the villages.
Yeah.
We got to meet a lot of the people that
Yeah,
because
they're
we did like
wonderful.
one-on-one
Yeah.
surveys with
Oh,
families,
yeah.
and like we got to go into
Oh.
their homes and experience their culture.
Oh,
and
that's lovely.
That's
And
the
we
best
worked
part.
alongside nursing students who were also like working on this project for their grade, and so
Oh,
like they
yeah.
were translating for us when we were doing surveys, and so we got to like see what nursing school was like for people in India, and just kind of like having that bond of like, hey, we're both nursing students, was
Yeah.
really cool.
Were
So-
you buddied with one of those?
Yeah.
We shared the same kind of.
Yeah, I just talked to
yeah.
her today.
Really?
My dad, she just texted me. She was like, "How are you?"
Aw.
yeah. So
Oh, they're fun.
yeah,
It's really nice.
yeah, they're great.
So, what was the most like significant personal experience?
Oh.
It's so hard.
Mine actually has not very much to do with India, which is funny, but it like significantly for me because we were there during inauguration, and Zach knows because I went to Culture Hour on a couple of the political days, so I'm very outspoken about how for me right now the president doesn't represent my America and the inclusiveness and the openness that I feel towards other cultures and learning about them. And so I was almost embarrassed headed over into India at this time because I'm most embarrassed of our country and what we've digressed to. And just the other day with the Olathe shooting at the bar that I actually worked at when I was in high school.
Oh my god.
So
I had
that was
two
very
people
heavy
from
for me.
India reach out and ask me about that,
And
and
Yeah,
that broke
It's
my heart.
devastating.
They were all just so confused. We had one person at one time ask us, like, everybody we meet from America, they all said they voted for Hillary, they didn't like Trump. Like, how did he get elected? How is that hate, growing? And we were just like, honestly, the people who come to India probably aren't the people who are going to vote for Trump, because the people who voted for Trump they haven't experienced your culture. They don't know you, they don't know your story, and so they've built fear around you, and they've built hate around your culture, the Muslim culture, the Hindu culture, and it's just devastating to me. And so the prevalence of our political election over in India was huge.
Oh, wow.
Like, so many people knew what was going
Everyone
on.
was so knowledgeable.
So many people were watching America.
Right.
And I sat there and I was like, I could not tell you a single thing about your government. I don't know anything
Yeah.
about your government. And then the people in our international hostel, we had people from the Netherlands, we had people from Australia, Norway,
Germany.
Canada. And I was like, I don't know anything about your governments either, but you know so much about mine, and that just makes me feel like I need to learn a lot more about
Great.
politics
That's
around the
awesome.
world. So
That's really awesome.
Good.
Yeah. Start
Wow.
listening to like a BBC and other news sources.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah.
So my the question was the biggest personal
Yeah.
aspect. So mine was, I was just in awe by how hospitable everyone was, just absolutely treated like family. Even if we didn't speak the same language, we were ushered in, given food, water, what can I help you with, everything like that. And then I actually even experienced that a step further. I had to go to the hospital one of the days because I was sick, and so
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah,
you
it was-
sick, but
yeah, so I was admitted, and I felt so safe. I felt so comforted. I was so happy that I was in such great care, and I feel so lucky to have experienced that over there, because I
Yeah.
felt so connected, and just so pleased with how that worked. Yeah, it's hard to put into words sometimes too,
Yeah,
but it was
such
amazing.
A good experience.
Totally. Mm-hmm.
Hospitality is a really interesting common theme for our students who go all over
Yeah.
the world, because it's to stereotype, it's really something that is done better around the world than it is in the United States, and it's really
Absolutely.
hard to understand it until you experience it.
Yeah.
But then once you've experienced it, it belongs to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's something now you can offer the world. You can offer, anybody that you come in contact with now. Just that openness, that open heart, that generosity. That we just, it's just not. We might be generous people, but that open generosity is so different.
So amazing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you really, I just feel like you really have to see it from the international perspective, like experience it to be able to
Totally.
then give it.
Yeah, it's so different. It is very heartfelt internationally, because
Yeah.
you are this is a very unknown space, and you're opening me into your home as you would like a brother or sister, and
there's no limit.
Yeah.
It's just so crazy to me sometimes when you think about the way like I always thought. I mean, I believe my parents are very generous and very hospitable. But going to another country, I was in Micronesia, where the income level is much lower, and they didn't think about the fact, well, I have to feed my family for the next week. They would say whatever they had was yours.
Yep.
Yeah.
In that moment, whatever belonged to them was yours. I mean, we just that level of kindness and generosity is so it's so hard to understand until you've seen it. Yeah.
And that's why we feel blessed to be able to have, our visitors from, particularly faculty from other countries, to share with us and to share our culture and what we get from them right here, and also to be here for our students. So that's, we really appreciate that so much, having them here. And you had the luxury also of meeting some staff from India before you left.
Yeah, gosh, the luxury.
Yes.
They did so much for us, Anita and Eddie. Oh my gosh, we would have.
bless them.
Yeah, we would have been in big trouble if we didn't have them to rely on at times,
Yeah.
especially with the demonetization thing, because it was just.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was so
Oh, was
interesting.
It was a big struggle.
Oh,
was
boy.
it? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But we made it
wow.
through.
Oh, we
I
did?
think
Good.
we
And
did
it got
really
better
well.
towards the end.
Yeah.
The country got better towards the
Just
end.
a bizarre thing to have happen, because it's just like I can't even imagine like comparing it to like what if the $10 bill just got taken
disappeared.
out of circulation in the
I know.
United States? Literally chaos.
I know. Dr. Honey talked about it. I was
Yeah.
like, okay.
Like,
No.
Yeah, it's just like
Oh.
bizarre. Huh?
It's so
Yeah.
strange, and it's just
But it was almost fun because it like put a spin on our trip. You
Yeah.
know, it was like an adventure
Yeah.
in itself.
and I feel like
An
we
adventure.
really got to do
Yeah.
some like waiting in line for 2 hours. You see some good cultural stuff when you're
Yeah.
for 2
Oh,
hours.
man.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah,
Because the
and,
ATMs.
yeah,
So if
and
you didn't
so
have
that
an
was
Indian
fun.
bank account,
I mean,
which
we
didn't,
got the
we couldn't
full-on
go to the bank
experience.
and withdraw.
Nice.
And a lot of the people of India didn't have bank accounts in the bank. Like
Yeah,
I don't
and
know
that's
how
why-
that worked or
yeah,
why that
well,
happened.
that's the whole reason it happened, is because people were stashing their money away in like
Government.
just kind of like black market areas. I don't even know. And basically, they took. Their idea was to take a bill out of circulation so that all these people who were hiding their money would come
Would bring it.
to exchange it,
Right.
and then they'd say, "Well, you don't have a bank account," and they'd have to open one. And so, because they had a huge problem with tax evasion, and so that was their whole point
Mm-hmm.
was
Oh,
to
you're-
But
and
then,
so-
it, but
so
then it
did it
started
work out?
backfiring. No, it started
No.
backfiring. That was the problem.
was terrible,
Because
yeah.
then all the
Oh my
less
gosh.
the people of less income, they had such a hard time getting money because these ATMs would run out
Yeah.
of
yeah, from
cash.
their economy.
Oh, it was horrible.
Because
And
like
then
the
those
vendors.
yeah,
The vendors couldn't, because people were having a hard time getting cash, and that's all the vendors would
especially
take.
small bills.
Yeah, because like, you can't go. The vendors don't have credit card machines.
Yeah.
Some of the stores, half the stores don't have credit card machines. So,
Okay.
so you'd see people not being able to afford. You know, I'm going to buy fruit here, and I'm going to buy this there, and like because they didn't have the cash to spend.
They didn't have the cash, and the
So the
ATM.
farmers were hurting, and
The ATM would only spit out large bills, and
Mhm.
so
And
they
you couldn't cash a
they-
large bill at a small.
totally. So like the
Because they don't
small
have
vendor,
change,
the
'cause
small
no one has
farmers,
cash.
yeah, no one's
Yeah.
got cash
Yeah.
to split
Oh
that
my
larger bill.
gosh.
So that was
Yeah.
really
It was a headache.
crazy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
And
crazy.
it really was affecting people who owned like small shops, and yeah, their business was, you could tell, it was
so devastating.
Yeah, well, we heard on the news that like farmers and small businesses and things like that were struggling, and they were wondering how long the government was going to do this for. And yeah, it was sad.
Do you want to share your personal?
Oh, yeah,
Even
I
if you already
guess.
did, I don't
No,
know.
no. Yeah, I guess my best personal experience, just kind of going off of what Molly said, was just the people are hands down the best part of India for me. I mean, we saw some amazing things. We were able to touch the ocean on both sides of India, and but just the people were the best. And like that sounds so cliche, but gosh, they just have such a heart for other people, and that's just how they're raised. It's not because you're a guest. It's because you're here and because you're my friend, and like that's just, they don't even question. Like no questions asked. What do you need? I'll do it for you. And that blew me away. That was just unbelievable. And we're like, we wish that Abby and Anita would come back so we could do
That
everything we
more
wanted
for
to
them.
do for them.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
mean, we helped them a decent amount, but
Not
nothing.
nearly as
oh
much
my
as
God,
they
they were
did.
just, yeah. And Shanti, who was here last fall, we met her like the day before she left. Oh my gosh, she took us out to lunch. She had us
Amazing.
over for tea at her house, and we got to meet her daughter, who is a nursing student. And
Nice.
she's wonderful. Oh my gosh. And so we got to, the first night we went out to dinner with them, I had met Shanti just one time at that dinner at the Taj Palace down the street. And she came up to us in the School of Nursing and was like, "Hi, how are you? Good to see you." And it like took me a minute. And she was like, we've met. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so then we made plans to go to dinner, and I just felt like we were sitting there with old friends. Like it was just like I just met Annie. Yeah, and I just had met Shanti once, and we just sat at dinner and we just like talked and laughed for like 2 hours, and I was like, we literally just met these people, and they like it was so wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was great.
They're right.
Shanti, I will never forget Shanti because she would call us out on our food all the time.
Oh my gosh.
Shanti is like the mother hen of our trip, and every time we'd go out to dinner with her, she'd be like, "Eat more. You want more of this?" And she'd be
They
like
were
moving it down the
seriously
table towards you.
Food
Your
pressure.
bowl is
Yeah,
your
they
belly
were.
is
They were
so
like,
full.
Have you eaten enough? Are you okay?
Why are you not?
You're like,
Do you
I've
feel
had
well?
5
Do you
plates.
feel okay? And you're like, I literally cannot put another bite in my mouth. One night we went out to dinner. I ate so much I was in physical pain because I stretched my stomach so much because it's
Too much
rude
butter
if you
chicken
don't eat all the
masala.
food, and You know, these people would take you out and they wouldn't let you pay for it, of course.
We
And
tried.
so
We tried
and they
so
were like
hard.
offended
if you
that we
left,
tried.
if you left food behind, it was just so terrible. So I was just like eating it all. I was like,
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
You know, one of our other groups who actually had gone to Uganda, and we had a faculty from Uganda here as well. They actually had a little bit of the same sense of almost regret that they didn't understand the level of hospitality while the person was here from Uganda, so that they could have done more for her.
Yeah.
And I hear that coming from you too, like, oh, I wish I'd known, but you know, it's okay because that's not the way they measure. They don't measure and they don't keep
Yeah.
track. You know, it's not, they are not
That's so
tracking,
true.
and that's what's so beautiful about
What a
their
great
hospitality,
perspective.
and that's for you now. Like, you don't track. It's not about what someone does for you. You're just going to be this way with people, you know, and given the opportunity, especially if someone's a foreigner or a little bit on the outside, you know, that'll be your opportunity to share their gift, you know,
Yeah.
and because that's what it's about,
Mhm.
you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm sitting here going, I wish Dr. Mani was here. He would
Oh my
just
goodnsee
be-
We got
Look
to
at
see
it,
him
he got to
there.
see him.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
he sent
several
us pictures.
times.
I know. He's
Oh my
like,
gosh,
Oh my
his
god,
pictures.
you took me like shoving food in my mouth.
After the run, we're just like sweating.
We're so
like,
he sent pictures. It's sweet, but
Yeah.
you know, I mean,
He's-
you'll meet with him too. You know, he always
Yeah.
meets
Yeah.
with you, and then, but it just is so because.
Yeah.
You know, you understand more what he's been trying to tell you, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh,
And it was so fun to
totally.
see him in his element. Like,
Mhm.
everyone was like, Dr. Money, hi. And he was like, hello.
Hello.
Like, just like, yeah. He was like,
Is he like a
Just a
movie
big man
star
on
there?
campus.
Huge
Yeah.
celebrity. Oh my
gosh.
goodness.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great.
But totally, you wouldn't know because he's so humble and
Yeah.
just absolutely
best,
there
yeah.
for the student. And
Yeah.
oh my goodness, he's like a grandfather to us. Is kind of how he described
Yes,
him.
and he
Example
loves
money.
that.
Yeah.
He loves continuing and having those
Mhm.
relationships long term with you.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So what would you think would be an application of how will this change your career, or as you go forward, how are you going to use what you've learned?
Yeah.
How is it going to be different?
I mean, I think this is gonna forever change my nursing career. I mean, just the cultural competency that we've worked on through working with.
Appreciate you sharing it with the N3s as well.
That's what I was gonna say.
Did
when
that go
they
well?
when they get selected next year, I would love to come and like their initial
Awesome. Okay,
meeting,
great.
like because I'll be over there at the emergency department,
Well,
so
we
I will
should
be
know
around.
before you graduate too.
Who's going?
Yeah. I
Okay.
wanna-
Well, and we'll
Like-
try to keep you on our list for Robinson
Robinson
stuff
stuff,
and like the
Yeah.
Wadells who come in the fall. Like, so when we have our
Yeah.
social,
Oh my gosh,
Oh.
that'd
you
be
can
so much
meet them
fun.
and stuff.
Yeah.
So
I
we'll
would love
keep you
that.
guys in the loop.
But also, I just would love to help the next
Yeah,
group
yeah.
too.
I think all but three of us have said at least once that we want to help the next group of nursing students.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
make a
Successful.
list so that you don't forget. You know, that's
Oh,
what I've told
yeah.
all the students while they're thinking
tips.
about it. You know, put those
Mhm.
tips down, and anything in particular that you want to pass on to students that was profound
Yeah.
that you know of.
Yeah. Oh, like right now?
Just have you had anything?
Oh, like, there are a lot.
No,
Okay.
so I'm laughing because the first day that we got to the campus, it was a Sunday, and it was the Sunday after a holiday, and so it was like a ghost town because the students, like the international hostel, was mostly empty. Like there was nobody around campus. We had no idea where to get Wi-Fi. Like we literally were just like, wait, which building is it in? Because it's a giant campus. And so we go to the woman Sonia, who's in charge of the international hostel, and I'm asking her, and she's like, the alumni house. And I was like, oh, okay, like I thought it was an Indian
Alumni
word.
house?
It's the alumni
Alumni
house.
Yeah.
But in,
Totally said a Lou house though. You're like,
like
what?
she's like alum. It like sounded like two words when she was saying it, and it was very broken English and a very thick Indian accent. So I was like, walking around this campus, asking the security guards. I was like, "Do you know where the Alu something is?" Like it was so funny. And she finally like she walked us there in her bare feet, like
And
across
when we saw
construction.
the alumni house,
Construction.
we literally just stopped and looked at
We're like,
Oh my god, it was the alumni.
it's the alumni house, and she's saying Alu. Like it
So
was
sweet.
I think something like that happened like once a day from there.
The
on out.
miscommunication.
Like, just like we're like, I'm sorry, what?
Those-
Oh, yeah.
We were just like, yeah.
Oh my
Just
God.
It was fun.
That
after
was
that.
just so funny because we wanted to get the Wi-Fi because none of us had a SIM card, and we wanted to call Anita and Abby and tell them that we were
Right.
there, and like we could have waited till Monday, but she walked us over there in her bare feet anyway and showed us where it was. So
Awesome.
Well, you figured it out.
yeah,
totally.
yes, definitely adaptable. You have to
I
be
was gonna
adaptable.
say, be resourceful.
There's no amount of like talking about it here that can really prepare you there. It's just
Yeah.
gotta
That's
roll
right.
with it.
What they
Yeah.
ate, I mean, it was
It might not be
still
this
different.
It's going to be different.
different.
Yeah.
It's different. And I do like. I think sometimes the first time you go someplace is always
What you're
more
gonna
different
compare.
than when you go back again. Too,
Yeah,
you know, right?
that's true. Yeah.
So like the first time I went to Belgium, as opposed to like going back now. Now it's very like normal. I feel like I'm not even out of Kansas City.
oh,
It's
I
so
like don't want
normal.
to lose that because I
But-
love the
Yeah.
difference. The difference
Yeah.
would
But
be
you know
best.
what? Then you'll just have to go like to new places
I was
too.
gonna say,
I know.
that's the best part.
And even though it's maybe not as different as India, like you'll find that you'll go somewhere and you'll be like, oh my god, I could have died and never saw this. You know, it doesn't like I experience that like every time I go
Wow.
anywhere. Just like wow, to think I could have like lived
Gone
my
through
whole
my
life
life
and
without
not
seeing something like
not
this.
seen it.
Yeah.
Vancouver, Canada. That's pretty much like. But I was like, wow, I'm you know.
Wow.
And Rio de Janeiro, and I mean, and Phnom Penh. I mean, there's so many places, honey. You've got a lot to do.
That's true.
Yeah.
I came back and we're all like, all right, where are we going next?
Yeah.
What's happening? Where are we going?
I'm going to the
When
Dominican
you
Republic
see
this
your-
summer because I was like, I have to go somewhere.
There you go.
When your first patient from India, you can tell them you've been there.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Oh my
so
gosh,
excited
I
for
like
that.
bonded
That
with my
you will
banker
have.
because
Yeah.
No way.
like okay, this one
That's-
guy had been helping me like before I left with the money transfer and everything to Deli Magic, and he came up when he saw I was in the drive-thru. He's like, "How was your trip to India?" And the lady who was working the drive-thru was like, "You went to India?" And we just sat and talked for like 5 minutes across the
Yeah.
speaker in the bank drive-thru, and she's like, "Where did you go?" I'm from Mumbai, like blah blah blah, and everyone gets so excited when you
Yeah.
tell them that you've been to
So
India.
See,
because
you have a
yeah.
bond right
Yeah.
there. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's going to be lifetime.
It was
Lifetime
so
you'll have
funny,
that
yeah.
skill.